You've probably heard me harp quite a bit if you follow me on Facebook and other social media about the idea of stop the talking, start the doing, start taking action, stop talking about what you're going to do to improve your health and well-being, and actually start taking action, putting tangible steps, manageable steps behind the talk, behind the words. That's very personal to me for a couple different reasons. And I'm going to share them with you today. One, you already know quite well because I've shared it quite a bit in the past. I spent the better part of 2 decades talking about getting into shape, talking about finally taking control of my health and well-being. And I would do it for a little while, a week here, a couple of weeks there, a month over here. But I never fully committed, never fully followed through because I never truly believed that I could do it. And part of me wondered, if I would even stick to it, so why even bother? But you know that one. Here's the one you may not know. 2 months ago today, my father passed away. Back on November the 30th of last year, he passed away at the age of 80. Made it to 1 week after his 80th birthday. That you know. If you follow me, you know that. What you may not know is he suffered a stroke. It's been a little over 6 years now. It was the second of his strokes and certainly the more severe of the two. It left him largely incapacitated, certainly more so than the first one did. But at the time, the goal was that once he got out of the hospital, he would start doing his physical therapy, start doing his exercises, become more, again, physically active like he used to be. And he would get at least back to some semblance of quality of life that would allow him to do at least some of the things that he enjoyed doing prior. And he never tried. He would always say the same thing. Oh, it takes time. It takes time. And he would go to physical therapy, or a physical therapist would come to him and they'd get a session or two in each week. And he would do begrudgingly the work that the physical therapist would tell him to do while they were together. And then that same physical therapist, and we went through a handful of them, would give him exercises and exercise bands for him to do each and every day. I mean, he was retired. He had all the time in the world, you would think, to do the work. And figure that if he continued to do it diligently, do it each and every day, even a couple times a day, 10 or 15 minutes each time, that would help him slowly but surely get back, or at least close, or relatively close to where he was before he suffered that stroke. That was the goal. He had other ideas in mind. He essentially gave up. He gave up on himself. He gave up on any semblance of quality of life that he could have recaptured. He gave up on his family because we wanted to see him around as long as humanly possible. No, I mean, like I said, he was 80 years old, so he was roughly 74 when he suffered that stroke. I mean, no one knows, you get to that, no one knows just how much more time we have. Even without the stroke, who knows? Maybe he had a year, maybe he had 20, or somewhere in between. No one really knows. It's the old proverbial, I could step outside and get run over by a bus, and that's the end of it. We have no control over that. But what we do have control over is capitalizing on every opportunity that we have to take care of ourselves as well as we possibly can to give us the best possible chance, not just to live a long life, but to live a quality life. I've said many times, you may have heard me say this if you've spoken to me about health and fitness, that I would much rather, if I had a choice, I would much rather have the next 10 years, and that's it, but be as quality of a 10-year period as I could possibly have over 30 years where I was just passing the time. And frankly, I think that's what he was doing. He was just passing the time until that inevitable day would come. And I can't tell you how, I don't know if I can put into words how much that hurt to see him give up on himself, give up on the people that loved him and cared about him, wanted to see him get back to some semblance of enjoying life again, because prior to that, he really did. He was very active. He looked 20 years younger than he was. He had a full head of hair, which I was, to the very end, I was very jealous of, since I don't have much or any right now. And unfortunately, there was no way of knowing the stroke was coming. That was something beyond his control. But he could control how he chose to tackle life or tackle the obstacle in his way after he suffered that stroke, after he got out of the hospital. Doctors would tell him the first 2 years, those were the most critical. The most gains, the most progress you're going to make after a stroke, after a serious medical issue like that, is those first 2 years. That's where you're going to make the most gains. Anything above and beyond that, chances are, is going to be minimal at best. And he just let it slide on by. It wasn't important enough to him. It wasn't important enough to try to turn things around, to turn, a tragic situation, a horrible situation, into a situation with a silver lining. I've known my fair share of people who have suffered strokes and heart attacks and assorted other serious medical issues and have fought their way back. He chose not to. So why am I sharing this with you? Because too often, and I was guilty of it for a long, long time, too often I hear people simply talk about what they want to accomplish with their health and fitness, what they want to gain from it, what it means to them, how important it is to them, how their life will change once they reach their goals, and then do absolutely nothing about it. Time and time again, you hear them talking about it, you hear them talking about it. Then another year passes, and they're in the same exact place they were in the year before, if not worse. And how they talk about now's the time, and I really got to take care of it, and I really got to do it now. And then another year of excuses goes by, and they do nothing about it. So I'm here to tell you, stop talking about it. If you're in a situation where you don't even have to look in the mirror, you just know that you need to affect change in your life through your health and well-being, stop talking about it. You've done enough talking. It's time to start doing. It's time to start taking action. Because that much you can control. But if you don't, life has a way of taking control of it for you. And more often than not, you're not going to like the choice that it makes. So if you don't want that choice to be taken out of your hands, it's time to take control of it. Appreciate it. I'll see you all next time. Take care.